Hi, my name is Starlyn Chitri, and today I'm going to be talking about nonverbal communication and the issues that can arise. For instance, when one individual may misunderstand what another is nonverbally communicating due to differences between their cultures. So, first of all, nonverbal communication is defined as where an individual will communicate by other means besides verbally saying what they may be feeling. For instance, they can use nonverbal gestures such as facial expressions. So, in typical American culture, if an individual smiles like this, that can mean that they're happy or excited maybe to see another, while if they open their mouth and have their eyebrows slanted, that can mean that they're shocked or surprised about something. Also, if they frown, that can mean that they're sad or have negative feelings maybe about someone. Another example of nonverbal communication can be personal space. So, for instance, with American culture again, if two individuals stand really close next to each other, then that may mean that they have feelings of comfort with one another and may have a close bond. While if two individuals are further away, that can mean maybe that the individuals aren't comfortable, maybe they don't know each other that well, and they just aren't the best of friends. Another example of nonverbal communication can be eye contact. So with American culture, typically, if there's direct eye contact, that means that the individuals are listening and paying attention to another. While if one is talking and trying to directly look into the other's eyes, while the other is maybe looking away or looking down, that can show signs of disrespect and not really paying attention to each other. But in different cultures, for instance, if a woman directly looked into a married man's eyes, this can be seen as negative and disrespectful because it can be viewed as scandalous in the culture since the man is already married. Another example of nonverbal communication can be silence in a conversation. So, for instance, if one individual may say something a little controversial, then the other individual may not agree. So instead of verbally expressing what they're feeling, they may be silent. And this can non-verbally communicate to the other that maybe they don't agree with what was said or that they're shocked. So an example of where an issue can arise due to differences in meanings for nonverbal communication between cultures can be if a Polynesian man came to California and interacted with a native Californian man, and they greeted one another. In the typical Polynesian culture, sticking your tongue out and bulging your eyes is shown as a form of greeting and also asserting dominance, but it doesn't have negative intentions. Although the Californian man is maybe used to shaking hands with one another and smiling, and that's his form of greeting that he's used to. So when the two interact and the Polynesian man sticks his tongue out and bulges his eyes, he's greeting the Californian man, yet the Californian man may misunderstand and think that the Polynesian man is trying to express something negative or saying I don't like you, or just a sign of disrespect. Now, this issue can be resolved by the Californian man verbally expressing his maybe misunderstanding or what he's thinking, instead of just ignoring it and then avoiding the Polynesian man ever. Because this would create conflict, because maybe the Polynesian man actually liked the Californian man, and if the Californian man avoided him, then it can cause an issue because they wouldn't interact anymore. So by verbally communicating, this can resolve the issue between the two, and maybe they could both learn from one another their typical customs with their culture. So overall, nonverbal communication can be effective when one another can understand the intentions, although there can be numerous issues that can arise due to the differences in meanings. So as we talked about, maybe in one culture, smiling can be a sign of disrespect, while in another, the individual may think that they're doing something nice. And then personal space, an individual may give some space between one another because they thought that was a sign of respect, yet maybe misunderstood by another. So thank you. I hope you all have an amazing day, and that's my presentation.